O'Neill Arena in St. Andrews, New Brunswick. This is the semifinal draw of the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships, and we have a barn burner of a featured game for you today. You're just seeing the teams being walked in, I believe, by members of the local Sea Cadet Corps here in St. Andrews. Today's featured game is a girls' semifinal on Sheet C. Team Nova Scotia, Isabelle Ladouceur's rink from the Lakes Shore Curling Club in Lower Sackville, taking on Madeline Warner and Team Ontario from the Listowel Curling Club, Listowel, Ontario. Just one of the semifinals going on. The other girls' semifinal will be on Sheet B. That'll be Saskatchewan versus Alberta. The boys' semifinals will be on Sheets D and E. Northern Ontario versus Alberta, Nova Scotia versus Newfoundland and Labrador. We'll stop for the national anthem. John Thompson alongside Keith Rains for today's semifinal action. As I mentioned, a girls' semifinal between Nova Scotia and Ontario. Team Nova Scotia qualified for the championship round with a 3-3 record, fourth place out of Group B. They won a head-to-head tiebreaker to claim that final playoff place. In the double knockout championship round, they lost their first game to this very same Ontario rink, 4-1, before scoring wins last night against Quebec, 6-4, and then again this morning over BC, 8-4. They've earned their place in the medal round. Ontario came first in Pool A with a 5-1 record. It was the same record as Team New Brunswick, but Ontario defeated New Brunswick in round-robin play. Ontario scored championship round victories over Nova Scotia, as I mentioned, 4-1, and also in a rematch against New Brunswick, 5-4, with a dramatic last shot draw in the final end to take away the victory.
And I guess one of the advantages for Ontario is they could sleep in this morning, Sean.
They did. They did not have to play in the final qualifying draw for this medal round. This morning, a 9 a.m. draw that was. They were able to sleep in, have a nice and cozy brunch.
Yeah. But you know, sometimes what that does is Nova Scotia's on a roll here, right?
They are. They've won 2 in a row.
They run, a little 3-3, got into the championship side double knockout. They played this morning, so they know what the ice is like. They're warmed up. They've went back, probably had a little bite to eat, and they're ready to go. So that will be an interesting thing. See earlier on here how that goes for Nova Scotia and Ontario.
And they did play a tight game against Ontario yesterday. A lot of blank ends in that contest. Nova Scotia may want to force the issue, try to play a more aggressive style of game, try to throw Ontario a bit off. This is the first rock of the game for Michaela Harnish. Lead, and she'll just hit and roll out. Ontario's lead in the hack, Shannon Warner. The team is skipped by her sister Madeline. The mate is Sarah Bailey, and the second, Brianne Donegan. And this is Shannon Warner's second shot. Playing into the rings at this early posture, they're just trying to get a feel for the ice, but I have a feeling it's going to be a very open end to start off with, Keith.
Just to get comfortable and whatnot. And the adrenaline, just the difference when quarterfinals this morning to semi, when all the teams came in with their banners, you know, protocol here is, and myself, we're just broadcasters. And it brought up the competitive juices back and said, okay, this is prime time now. This is prime time.
Team Nova Scotia, this is second, Kate Callahan throwing. The team is Isabel Ladouceur skip, Emily Prue mate, Kate Callahan at second, and Michaela Harnish at the lead position. A hit and stick there. Ontario playing the Yellowstones this game, Nova Scotia the red. And despite having the better round-robin record, Ontario does not appear to have the hammer in this contest. It is Nova Scotia with the hammer. Perhaps because Ontario had the hammer when these two teams met earlier in the championship round.
Good sweeping there.
Struggling to hold the line, though, and they can't get it out. Hit it too thin. So a chance for Nova Scotia to split the house. And I do apologize to Michaela Harnish. This is Kate Callahan's first shot.
It's early for us, too. And the exciting thing with this age group, a lot of the players here are obviously 15 to 17 years old. There will, folks, just to let you know, there will be some mistakes made, but that's what makes it exciting. But on the other side, there's also some great, outstanding shots being going to be made here too.
Oh, absolutely. A draw coming in here.
And look at that perfect
Madeline
position.
Warner.
Splitting them in the house.
They are split there. Just hanging around back of the 12-foot. There is the possibility for freeze. A long double takeout of this phase seems unlikely, but we're likely to see the end get a bit more aggressive at this point.
And if you're just tuning in for the first time, folks, you know, you've been busy at work or whatnot, haven't had a chance to watch your favorite teams in action. These games are only 8 ends. So just it's not a 10 end, like it's 8 ends. So just be aware of that, and they go fast.
A hit and roll to the side of the 12-foot there by Brianne Donegan. I think Ontario is still sitting 1, or is now sitting 1. Nova Scotia, Kate Callahan getting into the hack. The Blue Nosers again trying to split the house. It may well be Nova Scotia sitting. While we do have an overhead view, we have it on about a 15-20 second delay. Yeah, it is Nova Scotia sitting to 1. Much closer on the overhead. So again, trying to split the rings. Beautifully done. Shot stone on the 8-foot. Team Ontario wants it to go away. A couple of other notes if you're new to the Under-18 Championship. This is the second Under-18 Championship. The teams get 30 minutes of thinking time, more appropriate for a game of this length as opposed to the 35 minutes you'll see at the Scotties or Brier where they curl 10. A solid nose hit there by Team Ontario. Sarah Bailey with the shot.
And in round robin play on the girls' side, Ontario, like Sean said, was 5-1. New Brunswick 5-1. Saskatchewan 4-2. BC 3-3, as well as PEI. Northwest Territories 1-5, and Yukon was 0-6, and that was Pool A play.
Emily Prue looking. There is a double there if they find the pocket. Hard sweep by Callahan. They get the one and roll over onto the other. That is a
nice shot.
Decent result for Nova Scotia. They're sitting 2. Another stone here for Sarah Bailey. Again, trying to make the shot stone disappear and try to roll to a favorable position for Team Ontario. Hard sweep by Donegan and Shannon. The hit and the roll for the double. Fantastic shot by Sarah Bailey. Great sweep by Shannon Warner and Breanne Donegan. All of a sudden, it's Ontario sitting 2. Nova Scotia do have the advantage of the hammer. And are trying to open the end back up again with Emily Prue second. Hard sweep by Callahan. They'll hit and roll just into the 8-foot. I think Nova Scotia is back sitting, but again, no guards in front of the house. A wide open hit for Madeline Warner's first shot of the game. Incidentally, Team Ontario's one loss, curiously enough, was to Prince Edward Island, a team that just failed to qualify for the championship round. First shot for Madeline Warner, Team Ontario. Hard sweep by Shannon Warner and Breanne Donegan. Hit, but they'll lose the shooter. Nova Scotia will play for the hit and stick here and hope for an Ontario miss to keep alive the chance of a deuce with the hammer in this opening end. I was watching the Ontario game last night out of the corner of my eye, and they were playing a very quick game against New Brunswick for most of it. A very open game. And this will be a hit, but they'll lose the shooter. Rock still just hanging on to the edge of the sheet, but it is not counting and will not count. Madeline Warner coming back, looking to draw in and force Nova Scotia to make a shot with their last rock. Madeline Warner's second stone. Steady brushing. This just needs to be somewhere in the paint. Just looking for the paint. Curling off to the side. Good solid brush here. It's going to be in a tricky spot for Nova Scotia, top of the 12-foot. The broom is down for a hit. Isabelle Ladouceur of Lower Sackville coming back here. Her mate, Emily Prue, just cleaning the path past the far hog line. Ladouceur looking for a hit and roll away. with the final stone in end number 1. Outboard weight, they say. Callahan is sweeping hard. Just trying to hold the line. Won't do it. Hit and will roll into the 8-foot for a single point for Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia gets one with a hammer and an early 1-0 lead. This is the Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships, live from St. Andrews, New Brunswick, on Bell Line TV1. As I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, we have semifinals on both the boys and the girls side of the draw this afternoon. We'll keep you updated as best we can on all those matchups. The other girls semifinal has finished its first end. It's a blanked first end between Saskatchewan's Skylar Ackerman from the Moose Jaw Ford Curling Club and Alberta's Kylie Backer of the Calgary Curling Club. Alberta, I believe, will retain the hammer in the second end. And the boys' semifinals still in the first end. It's Northern Ontario, the defending champion Jacob Horgan from Curl Sudbury, taking on Ryan Jacques, Team Alberta from the Saville Community Sports Center in Edmonton. And on 3D, an All-Atlantic boys semifinal, Nova Scotia's Graham Weagle of the Chester Curling Club taking on Ryan McNeil Lambswood of Newfoundland and Labrador, curling out of the Remax Center in the St. John's Curling Club in Newfoundland's capital, St. John's.
Well, checking the weather across the country, Sean, it's a great day to be inside watching curling.
Oh, isn't it, though?
It's a balmy 4 degrees Celsius here, folks, in St. Andrews. Yesterday we were in double digits.
Yeah,
12 degrees.
Yesterday was
gorgeous.
beautiful. Yesterday was beautiful. It is a bit cooler and a bit damper today. There is a sense of chill in the air, but that is nothing compared to the sense of excitement here in the W.C. O'Neill complex.
Good segue. That was nice. Because they're getting freezing rain and bad up in Ontario. So good day to be inside.
Well,
Watching these young, and Sean was talking about how great it is to have this second year for this U-18 and to have these young athletes be able to perform at a national championship. This is truly, it can only help grow the sport, and by them getting in situations like this in games, pressure situations, I call it opportunity. And when you get some of the kids say, oh, I feel the pressure. I said, that's good. That means there's opportunity, because if you felt no pressure, that means it didn't mean much. So if you feel pressure, make that a positive.
I think conversely in this game, depending on how the teams approach it, they may feel a little less pressure.
There you go.
One win in the next 2 games will give the teams a medal of some color, whether it's gold, silver, or bronze. 2 wins, of course, will get you the gold medal. The winners of the semifinals on the boys and girls side logically go to the bronze medal game. The runners-up will play off for bronze.
And that will be taking 6 o'clock tonight, 6 o'clock Atlantic time, will be the bronze medal, gold medal matches going on. And, of course, we have the boys match, but we're trying to work it where we can try to give you action on both. And definitely we will keep you up to date on the bronze medal games as well.
Absolutely. We'll try to keep you where the action is. Another fairly wide open end. Another hit called for by Team Ontario. Consecutive hits and sticks through the lead stones. Into the second stones. This is the first stone for Breanne Dunnigan. Ontario back with a hammer this end. Hard sweep to keep the line. And they will make it. Play staying by and large in the top of the house this end, but with the nose hits we're getting, we're rapidly running out of house. We do have first end scores now from the boys' semifinals. Alberta grabs one with the hammer in the first end. They lead Northern Ontario 1-0. Nova Scotia takes one with the hammer. They lead the All-Atlantic semifinal against Newfoundland and Labrador 1-0. Another hit and roll for Nova Scotia.
And the Nova Scotia boys team out of Chester Curling Club in Chester, Nova Scotia. Great sailing community down there. Beautiful area down along the Nova Scotia coast. And I know all the sailors down there are hoping that the weather warms up here soon so they can get their boats in the water.
Absolutely. A hit and just rolling. It's the first stone we've had this end that is not entirely in the house. It's, I'd say 3/4 in from my angle. We're positioned from a broadcast box in the corner of the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex here in St. Andrews.
They gave the prime location to the people watching.
Prime locations to the people watching. And
in the house here.
Another hit, and they'll roll across the house.
And that might go.
And out the other side.
We're ready for this thing, Sean? I was talking to one of the volunteers today. She goes, Keith, she goes, the dandelions are coming out. That means the lobsters are crawling.
Oh my!
That means I looked at her. Excuse me. She goes, the dandelions are starting to come out. I see them popping up their heads. That means the lobsters are crawling. I went, okay. That means spring is coming, and warmer weather is on its way.
I'd say something, but the song I sing to myself every spring is a Tom Lehrer song that begins, spring is here, life is Skittles and life is beer. And the song's called Poisoning Pigeons in the Park. And if you would like to look that up on video or music streaming services near you, please wait until after this contest. Ontario put one in the house with Sarah Bailey's first stone. Emily Prue just called upon to get rid of it. A hit and roll to bite the forefoot. There was a bit of this yesterday in the Ontario-Nova Scotia game. A lot of hitting, a lot of defensive play right from the word go. It's only when you see these teams start to make mistakes that the real fireworks begin.
Yeah, take advantage of the opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
And what you obviously try to do is try to eliminate your mistakes as much as possible, but when the other team makes it, you've got to take advantage of it.
Brianne Donegan, Shannon Warren are not touching this one, but no problem. A hit and gentle roll to nip the button. Ontario sitting one. As Isabelle Ladouceur makes her way back. Nova Scotia Skip and her team flew kind of under the radar most of the week. Nobody, perhaps except themselves, expected a big run after just squeaking into the championship round. But impressive wins over Quebec and British Columbia have them on the verge of a medal. Hit and roll into the 12-foot for Ladouceur. It'll just curl back slightly. Nova Scotia sitting one. Ontario with the hammer playing the Yellowstones. Nova Scotia with the red.
And now giving the round-robin record for the girls in the B pool was we had Alberta with 5-1, Northern Ontario and Quebec were 4-2 records. Nova Scotia, as Sean said, was 3-3. The host NB team, since it was here in New Brunswick, they were 3-3, which nice showing for that. For them, Newfoundland 2-4, and Manitoba was 0-6.
Very unusual that to see a Manitoba team not just finish last in a group in the national championships, but indeed go winless. Manitoba always known for strong curlers up and down the board. This will be a nose hit. And Ladouceur will hope to do the same with her second stone. Again, the big ends with multiple points came after teams made mistakes. Ontario is capable of playing aggressive curling. We saw that, we in the building saw that particularly with the last two ends in their game against New Brunswick last night. Somehow manufacturing a steal of 2 on their last stone in the final end.
You know, this morning and this afternoon, I'm seeing a lot of left-handed curlers out there. Yeah. Me being a fellow lefty, you know, we observe these things.
Hit and roll to get a chunk of the 8-foot.
Keeping everything clean here.
Nova Scotia sitting 1 as Madeline Warner comes back for her final stone. Sarah Bailey holding the broom. Shannon Warner and Breanne Donegan getting ready to sweep. I'll say this about the hitting game. It is nothing if not quick.
Yeah, that's right. It's easy to make the decision what you want to do with it. Now here she obviously wants to just heel and hit it and roll out to save hammer.
Yep, final rock. Second end.
Nova Scotia would like to see a slight mistake, hit and stay, so they get hammer back.
Oh yeah, big sweep. Big weight.
Oh.
And a nose hit.
Yes.
Ontario gets the single back in 2. 1-1. Nova Scotia in Ontario tied in a girls semifinal. The 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships live in St. Andrews, New Brunswick. Here exclusively on Bellline TV1. Sean Thompson here alongside Keith Rains. Just a quick look at the other girls semifinal. You may have heard a couple of roars and train whistles. That's for Team Saskatchewan. Their girls are in the other semifinal in the girls section, and they took a steal 1 against Alberta. First points of the game, Saskatchewan leading Alberta 1-0 in the other girls semifinal. They're still playing the second end on sheets D and E, the boys semifinals, and we'll give you the scores from them as they come up. Back in our feature game on sheet C, Nova Scotia with the hammer back. Just watching Shannon Warner lead for Team Ontario. Make what I think is the first real aggressive shot of the game. A good, strong, center-ish guard.
And the teams and the parents are here having an excellent week here in St. Andrews. St. Andrews by the Sea. We're about an hour and 10-minute drive max from St. John, New Brunswick, which is on the Bay of Fundy. And they can walk to the hotel, the beautiful Algonquin Hotel here. And St. Andrews was Canada's first resort town on the bay, and that was helped by the railroad. Van Horn, when he built the railroad, a lot of folks from Montreal start coming down. They start getting summer places here. The Algonquin Hotel was built, and it became a real resort community here. And U.S. Magazine voted it as the top destination in Canada for a must-see. So you folks up in Ontario, if you're coming down to the Maritimes for a visit, you got to make sure you visit St. Andrews, New Brunswick.
And it is simply a gorgeous community wedged between an inlet of the Bay of Fundy known as Passamaquoddy Bay and a good deep cove on the opposite side. It's a town you can easily walk across if you're so inclined.
Yeah. Well, and we can walk out the door here, look across the water and see the U.S. of A.
Absolutely.
Because we're about 20-minute drive, 25-minute drive to St. Stephen, which is on the border of St. Stephen and Calais. And Calais is in, obviously, United States, Maine. And it's just, obviously, we do have a lot of Americans that come up here in the summertime, too.
Yeah, the Ontario freeze there from Shannon Warner, just a bit heavy. Attempts the Nova Scotia stone off the back of the button, but is still lying shot, biting the back four. And this is Michaela Harnish's second stone, the lead for Team Nova Scotia.
And each team is allowed 2 timeouts in these 8 end games.
To go with their 30 minutes thinking time. Thank you, Keith.
Yeah.
Sweepers backing right off.
Nice shot.
Madeline Warner coming in. See how far she can brush it.
She'd like to kept that in front of the tee line, but it slid in behind, so now it's...
What this leaves is a nice pocket for Ontario to draw into.
Yes.
The tricky thing here for Nova Scotia is a draw right into the pocket is difficult to remove without getting rid of your own stones. When Ontario decides to be aggressive, boy, howdy are they aggressive.
Just keeping it clean.
Yep, they'll sneak by the guard. It needs to curl a fair bit to find the pocket, or at least sit on the shot stone.
Yeah. Nice
Oh
shot.
my.
Nice shot.
It is not the perfect shot, but it is pretty darn close too. It looks like it's mostly locked on the top, maybe a couple of inches of separation. Nova Scotia with a tough shot to make here. Just trying to pick the Ontario stone off the button. Kate Callahan second. Hard sweep for Michaela Harnish and Emily Prue.
She moves them all.
Moves them all. The shooter rolls to the back of the 8-foot.
Yeah.
The center is clear. Nova Scotia still lying one.
That was a nice shot because there was a lot of traffic back there.
There was. Amazing the power these young women can put on the stone.
And you can understand why these teams are in the semifinals.
Absolutely. Ontario still with the center guard up. Will try to come around it again. Sarah Bailey's first rock. Van Dunnigan, Shannon Warner sweeping. Just trying to guide it around. It will curl. Will it stop? Right on the button. It forces Nova Scotia and Isabelle Adosur to do something about it. And that something appears to be a gentle tap back. Emily Prue's second shot. First shot, rather. Trying to get right on the face. Trying to get right on the face. They'll do it. Knock it back. Nova Scotia sitting 1. A beautifully played end so far. The call for Team Ontario, follow it down. This is Sarah Bailey's first stone. Made for Team Ontario. The 17 and under champions from Listowel, Ontario. Just about 55K northwest of Kitchener.
For you Nova Scotia fans listening, it's 1-1 on the boys' side, Nova Scotia and Newfoundland. Newfoundland scored 1 in the second end to tie that contest up at once, and they're measuring the Northern Ontario and Alberta.
And we will get that result to you as soon as we can. Emily Prue in the hack now. We're just about to get a look at the overhead. This is just guarding to protect that center pile there. I think Nova Scotia is sitting shot on the button through all that. Yes, indeed they are. Right on the button, but with a lot of yellow around it. Sweepers backing right off now. Stone needs to slow.
That's going to be in the 12 for sure.
In the 12, did it over curl though? I think it may be good. Nova Scotia still shot stone. Ontario turning to the other side to try to get some movement on it. Second stone for Sarah Bailey, and the sweepers, Donegan and Shannon Warner, right on it. Hard sweep, you're battling the frost on the outside of these sheets. Trying to drag it as far as you can, it's just a bit light. Slide by the guard. It does take away another path to the button for Team Nova Scotia. Remember, they do have the hammer here in 3.
Northern Ontario did score 2 in that second end to go up 2-1 over Team Alberta in boys play.
And we will repeat again, Jacob Horgan and his Northern Ontario rank are the defending champions. They picked up the title last year in Moncton.
And they won an extra end this morning.
They did.
And a heck of a shot to finish off that game. You had a chance. I just was walking out the building when he shot it, but you were watching that shot.
Oh, a very strong double takeout. And speaking of strong, a beautiful Nova Scotia shot saddling right up to the button. Nova Scotia sitting 2 as we move into skip stones. And a very delicate operation coming up for Madeline Warner. This will be what I call a heavy draw weight. You can't play the big takeout weight, and you need the curl of a draw, but you do want enough weight to maybe shift some of those rocks on the button around.
And this is her first stone at this end.
Donegan and Shannon Warner getting on stronger with the sweeping now, backing off. It needs to curl for Ontario. They're by the guards. Ladouceur is there ready to sweep. It'll get into the pile, and it is, a right jolly mess in there.
I'm liking this. I got to start writing these nuggets down. These are good. A right jolly mess.
We're waiting till our delayed overhead feed comes on. I think it is still Nova Scotia sitting something. But they're contemplating the best course of action for this first skip stone. We'll get the overhead shot here. No, it's Nova Scotia still sitting 2. It didn't move second shot far enough to the back of the 4-foot. There is still room around the button to put another rock in there if Nova Scotia is so inclined.
I'm going to try to protect it.
That would be my instinct.
Yeah. I was wondering if they were going to call a timeout, but they seemed pretty certain what they wanted to do. So save the timeouts, as it is still early. It's only the third end, but it is only an 8-end contest unless we go extra.
It is the third end, and they have played a relatively quick game so far. Both teams should still have better than 20 minutes on the clock after this end is finished.
Yeah, this is her first, Isabel's first stone in the third end here. And see, lefty. Just pointing that out, folks.
Ladisseur's first rock, Callahan and Harnish ready with the brooms as necessary, and I think it'll only be necessary for the line. Callahan indicating it's heavy. A brush for line. A strong brush from Callahan for line. It's going to come into the house.
Gets by everything.
That may have found that last little spot around the button. We'll make sure when we get the overhead view on our delayed feed by about 30 seconds.
It keeps increasing. It was 20 seconds yesterday. Now you're up to 30. And it could be.
Yeah, I'm just guesstimating. It's, well, the signal has to get from point A to point B to point C to point D to point E and eventually to my computer up here in the box. What a wicked curl on that. It is Nova Scotia sitting 3.
Bounces off
that
there.
That path towards the button is still free.
Yeah, there's a pocket there too.
There is a pocket, and most of the action is behind the tee line.
Here's the last shot for Ontario.
Madeline Warner trying to find that pocket. Trying to sneak something in there. Is the aggressiveness going to pay off? Hard sweep by Shannon Warner and Breanne Dunnigan. Hard sweep. They need to get it by the guards.
Oh, and it racked up.
Oh, baby.
What do I hear there? I hear the door. The door is open. I don't know if it's in the booth or in the house.
Nova Scotia. Isabelle Ladouceur just has to come down with the same draw. It is a bit trickier because the guards have shifted around, but essentially the same draw, and it's a shot for 4.
And we talked about how tight these teams are. They don't give up a lot, and when there's an opportunity like that, and we saw it this morning with New Brunswick, who was sitting 4 against Alberta, and Alberta Skip made a great shot to save off disaster, and Alberta went on to win that game 6-4. So here, but when you have an opportunity to get an extra point, you would love to get it if possible. So here it is.
It needs full 4-foot. Final stone in 3. Michaela Harnish, Kate Callahan, the sweepers. And they are working it hard. They need to get it by the guards up top first. Get it through the hole. Get it through. No, it'll wreck up front.
But is it?
It's still 3. Still 3 for Nova Scotia. And a big 3. You can hear the Blue Nosers and their Cowboys cheering. Cowbells, rather.
I said Cowboys. Maybe Alberta was on their side. I don't know.
Who knows? A big 3 spot for Nova Scotia puts a 4 on the board. 4-1. Nova Scotia leading Ontario through 3 ends. This is the girls' semifinal of the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championship, live from St. Andrews, New Brunswick on Bell TV1.
It was interesting with these teams when they get done playing, that they sit down with their coaches afterwards and they discuss the game and things that did well and whatnot. And there's two aspects of an athlete. There's the physical skills that we need to have, and then there's the mental skills. And talking with one of the coaches, and we were talking about how golf and curling are very similar, because what they try to do with the athletes is they want the athletes to actually see the shot before they throw the rock, and that's the mental aspect of the game.
Absolutely.
And you visualize, a lot of visualization going on. So it's great at this early age that they're getting, because a lot of sports, we focus so much on the physical component that we sort of forget about the mental side, but the mental side becomes more critical as we go on, and once the skills are there, then it's a matter of just implementing those. But the mental toughness and be able to come back from a bad shot and make a good shot.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Keith. And the mental strength when you're going through a long week like this. This is over the course of 6 days. These girls and the boys too will have played eight or 9 games just to get to this one. This is their 9th or 10th. The next one will be their 11th or 12th. Sorry, will be their 10th or 11th. I can almost count today.
Well, and you said it, though, like you were talking about these things, the emotional roller coaster that you're on at times in a game, like where the low of lows and the high of highs, and you've got to be able to right the ship and say, okay, good, let's move on to the next. And like today, some of these teams, 9 o'clock game, 1:30 game, 6 o'clock game. 3 games in one day. They're used to playing 2, but for some of these teams, if they win, they'll have to play 3 games, and that's physically, mentally trying too.
Nova Scotia stone slightly overthrown and over curls. There is the pocket there. Ontario was able to put up a guard straddling the 4-foot line up high. They're going to try to use it. Just on this little draw into the pocket.
A big kudos has to go out again to the event committee, event chair Sue Lister and her outstanding group of volunteers. Over 160 volunteers from the St. Andrews, greater St. Andrews area, we're going to say, from Charlotte County. I imagine they were hauling people from everywhere to help out, and they've just done a fabulous job for these young athletes to give them the quality event that they deserve, and to showcase the great town of St. Andrews and the province of New Brunswick. So thank you, Sue Lister and committee.
A hard sweep. This stone is quite light. A hard sweep from Sarah Bailey and Shannon Warner will just about get it by the hog line. Another guard on the 4-foot. Sorry, Shannon Warner was throwing that stone. That was Brianne Dunnigan on the broom. 2 guards for Team Ontario on the top of the 4-foot line. 2 rocks in the 4-foot for Team Nova Scotia. I think Ontario was a bit wise to try for the guards. You want to try to manufacture some points by putting up some guards you can come around. Eventually, though, they will have to make plays for those rocks top of the 4-foot, as one of those guards peeled away by Kate Callahan. And we do have a scoring update from a couple of other semifinals going on here. The other girls' semifinal on sheet B, Alberta got 2 with the hammer. In the third end, they run into a 2-1 lead on Saskatchewan. Playing the fourth end, Saskatchewan with the hammer there. And on Sheet E, the Atlantic Canadian boys semifinal. Nova Scotia picked up 2 with a hammer and 3. They now lead Newfoundland and Labrador 3-1.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say on the boys' side, there's going to be an Atlantic team in the gold medal game. Okay? I'm just saying that. If you want to put some money on it, I'm saying Atlantic team right now, 20 after 2, that there will be an Atlantic team boys in the gold medal game tonight. Okay. You heard it here first.
And I think I can guarantee you there will be a Prairie province represented in the women's gold medal game.
Oh, now you're just being foolish. Okay. We'll go for that. We'll give you that one.
We've opened up the front here. Just the 1 Nova Scotia stone remaining in the house. And Ontario is even wanting this one to go away. There we go. The second stone from second Brianne Dunnigan. And no, it is a guard. Some heavy scrubbing. Madeline Warner looking to see if she has to come out. They need to get it by the hog line. And they just do. As they say at the curling club, somebody owes the sweepers a beverage.
Wow. A lot of work there. And that's the other thing that I think we talked about this morning, Sean, how these athletes, we said setting goals for themselves, which are important. One of the things that they have to do is physical component, getting themselves stronger. As you see, some of the tough sweeping that goes on here. And a lot of that is done off season, and they just try to maintain their fitness level during in-season.
And a bit of a mistake there by Nova Scotia. The peel attempt there by Emily Prue whacked into their own rock in the house and split that off. The shooter stays at a guard, up nestled by the hog line.
And that's what happens sometimes when you're trying to take out, their guard, and you don't. Perfect example there. It's sort of like a risk-reward thing. Is it worth the risk of going for that? But
they were very lucky that they didn't jam on the nose there. That could have been disastrous.
Yeah, and left an Ontario stone in.
Ontario were trying to manufacture a score. They're still trying to. They do have the hammer here in 4, playing the Yellowstones. They tuck one behind that very high Nova Scotia guard.
And that's where a Nova Scotia rock was sitting earlier. So let's see how this has just changed the end.
It has. Isabelle Ladouceur just asking what turn Emily Prue would like. Give the turn your mate feels more comfortable throwing. Her second stone in the end. Again, just a straight peel. Kayla Harnish, and it's just off the nose, and they run it by the shot stone in the rings too. 2 missed peels by Nova Scotia, offering up a real opportunity for Team Ontario.
On the girls' side, at the break at the end of 4, Saskatchewan and Alberta are all tied up at 2 apiece. So Saskatchewan, Alberta, 2-2 after 4.
That will be very fascinating to keep an eye on as the game develops. And just peeking over at the other boys semifinal on sheet D, Alberta took 2 in the third end. They're out to a 3-2 lead now on Northern Ontario. As Donegan and Shannon Warner brush this in to grab a bit of paint. May not be a guard, but it is well covered.
Speaking of Northern Ontario, when I was up doing the senior nationals last year in Fredericton, Al Hackner, the Iceman.
Holy baby.
He was in the house, so we had him up in the booth for a few ends, and what a curler that, and he still is. Obviously, still a very good curler. He still curls and has a great time. Great storyteller, but boy, what a talent that man is.
Oh, absolutely, and.
The Iceman.
There are many shots called the shot, but for me, the shot, even though I wasn't alive to see it live, it will always be that shot, last rock of the 10th end of the 85 Brier. The wheelhouse raise double takeout and stick around to force an extra end against Pat Ryan. And Northern Ontario stole that extra end, and a good hit there by Isabelle Ladouceur on her first stone.
Yeah, the Iceman. It was just great stories.
Great stories from a champion curler. Madeline Warner making her way back. The Nova Scotia stone is wide open. Now we've seen her make hits like this many times this week. It'll be a hit and roll behind your own. If you're lucky, you even get on the button. This is the first skip stone for Team Ontario, playing end number 4.
And we'll take a short break after this.
We will.
You're a good man, Sean. Thank you. Just let the folks at home, you can top up the coffee or other beverages that you might be having to watch this last 4 ends as we get ready for the last couple of shots of this end.
And it's a nose hit. Nova Scotia sensing a real chance for a steal here. That Madeline Warner stone out in the open, a hit and roll onto the center line, even onto the button, would leave the coolest of cold draws to the button for Ontario to score a point. Emily Prue holding the broom, Kate Callahan and Michaela Harnish ready to sweep. The second stone for Isabelle Ladouceur. Up 4-1 and looking for more. Hard sweep from Callahan. Hard sweep, trying to keep the line.
Gets it by 1.
And the roll.
Oh, yeah.
It may just have overrolled. It's to the opposite side of center, and it's wide open. Ontario has a hit and stick for 2.
I mean, obviously, you, from a Nova Scotia perspective, you like to keep them from 1 if you could. But the thing, even if they score 2, you're still up, and you have the hammer going into 5. So
that is true.
And Ontario still has to make this shot here.
Yep.
And there's a couple things you have. Obviously, she wants to stick and stay, but depends on what happens. She could roll out, and then it's 1 point. So this is a big shot for Ontario here to finish out this 4th end.
Final rockin' for big weight called for, gentle, clean, and nothing more. This rock will need to curl. It's gotta curl.
Beautiful shot.
Just fine.
Yeah, they didn't have to lay a brush to it. So 2 points. Big 2 points for Ontario there to cut into that Nova Scotia lead, but we have 4-3 at the end of 4, Sean.
4-3 Nova Scotia with the lead, setting things up for a dramatic conclusion. We've got 4 more ends of curling coming up, but not for a few minutes yet. We're going to take a break. You are watching the girls semifinal of the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championship, live from the W.C. O'Neill Complex in St. Andrews, New Brunswick, only on Bellline TV 1. Welcome back, curlers and curling fans. We're at the WC Arena O'Neill Complex. Yeah, right. The WC O'Neill Arena Complex in beautiful St. Andrews by the Sea, New Brunswick. We're looking at a girls' semifinal in the Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships. Nova Scotia with a 4-3 lead on Ontario through 4 ends. Nova Scotia with the hammer as we come back to play after the 4th end break. First stone here for Ontario's lead, Shannon Warner, to get us back underway. Just a quick update of the other boys and girls semifinals ongoing at this moment. They're all through 4 ends. And the other girls semifinal on sheet B, Saskatchewan able to get one with the hammer in the 4th end to tie things up with Alberta 2-2. The Saskatchewan girls, Skylar Ackerman out of the Moose Jaw Ford Curling Club in Moose Jaw. Alberta represented by Riley Backersrink from the Calgary Curling Club. In the boys semifinals on sheet D, a blank end in 4, Northern Ontario defending champion Jacob Horgan from Curl Sudbury. Trailing Alberta's Ryan Jacques 3-2. That Jacques team from Alberta out of the Saville Community Sports Center in Edmonton. And a blank in the 4th end, Nova Scotia with a 3-1 lead on Newfoundland and Labrador. Nova Scotia's team, Graham Weagle from the Chester Curling Club. Newfoundland represented by Ryan McNeil Lambswood from the Remax Center and St. John's Curling Club in St. John's.
And now we're getting into the home stretch, the turn for these teams, the 5th end. And I was talking to some of the players and coaches, and just the 2 from 10 ends to 8 ends, it makes it so much faster, it seems.
It does.
Everything gets a little bit more critical because you can run out of ends quickly. So this end here, where Nova Scotia has the hammer, obviously they would like to be able to get 2 points with their hammer if possible.
Absolutely, and there is a proposal on the table from the World Curling Federation to make all games at the international level 8 ends. That will be voted on at a rules meeting this September, in fact. And if approved, Curling Canada widely expected to adopt it for the Brier, Scotties, Juniors, other Season of Champions events starting this fall with the Canada Cup.
Well, it just makes, from a viewer, the folks at home watching this and whatnot, if you're watching webcasting, TV, whatnot, sometimes 10 ends, it's a little long. And you even seen in baseball, boy, they're even trying to speed up their game now by less mound visits, less warm-up pitches and whatnot. And they just want to do that for the viewer, for the fan.
I can understand that. I, myself, I may be in the minority in this, but I like watching the 10-end games. I find especially at events like the Canada Cup, Olympics, the Brier and Scotties, it allows more time for the game to develop.
Yes, the strategy portion of the game.
The strategy portion of the game. It also, I think, makes for more of a test. Then again, I'm a fan of a game where they take 5 days and may not even declare a winner to the match. Cricket.
Cricket? I was just going to say that. Cricket. You must be talking cricket then. Well, what it does is a shorter capsule of time. Sometimes the better team. The only difference between a good team and a great team is the great team does the fundamentals longer. So if you have a 10-end game, those takeouts, those ticks, they'll show up after a while because can you keep making them? And if you can't, then it'll pick up. But getting back to our game here, we're getting down to prime time.
Another Ontario guard, this one sneaking in top 12. The only Nova Scotia stone in the house is top 8 right above an Ontario stone on the 4-foot. All the play in front of T so far in this 5th end. Kate Callahan in the hack for Team Nova Scotia. Throwing the red rocks. We know that's not indicated on our scoreboard. Ontario with the yellow. And a good brush here. Ontario, as I said, when they want to play aggressive, they can play very aggressive indeed. And a fantastic sweep to keep the line. They may have just papered one of those guards in front, leaving a Nova Scotia stone wide open, top of the 12-foot. Ontario calling for the takeout, but you don't want to risk taking out your own here. Brianne Donegan.
Last of her stones.
Looking for the hit. They're trying to save the line.
Gets it. Nice shot.
Yep, and another guard in front of the house. They're shrinking the scoring zone ever so slightly. Nova Scotia, Isabelle Ladouceur trying to come in right on top of it.
And the people keep pouring in here.
Yes, indeed. They have heard the news of Championship Sunday. The entire town, as you mentioned, have gotten around this. The strong volunteer contingent. We've had spectators come down from the local high school, Sir James Dunn Academy, for Friday afternoon to take in some of the action.
Oh, that was nice.
Appropriate because all the curlers here are
Just
high school
misses.
students.
And that one goes out of the back.
That may prove a crucial miss yet. Ontario trying to aggressively defend their shot stone on the 4-foot.
Big kudos has to go to our sponsors, Town of St. Andrews, the Kiwanis of St. Andrews, the Heather Curling Club, the Bay of Fundy Starts Here, the Charlotte County Coastal Region for all their support, and the Algonquin Hotel, a signature hotel here, the flagship, I like to say, in New Brunswick. The provincial government, just to name a few, we'll name the rest after. But thank you to our sponsors.
Yep, I think Madeline Warner changed up the shot here. Going for a draw instead of a guard. This is making its way toward the pile, though. This is bending sharply. Will they get by that top one at least? Yes. Will they raise their own? I think they have. How much, though? You can see on the overhead how much.
Our other sponsors are Station on King Eatery, Jet Ice, we bring ice to life, Huntsman Marine Science Center, Curling Canada, and friends are Kruger and the Dunn Foundation. Thanks to all the sponsors that helped to make this event the success that it is.
Team Nova Scotia has called the first of their 2 timeouts, and Coach Brian Rafuse coming down. Rafuse, a veteran of many Curling Canada championships over the years. Talking with the group, and we can see, we just saw on the overhead, it is Ontario sitting 2 at this point. The rocks are well covered and present an interesting dilemma for Nova Scotia. There is room to make a cold draw in there if you want to. Remember, Nova Scotia does have 4 stones left, the entire back end yet to throw. Now seems like as good a time as any to mention that the alternate for Team Nova Scotia is Ellen House. She is in the building.
You got some winners.
We do. I'll get to that after this
break.
end.
Okay, yes. There was a ceremony happened before the semifinal matches were underway, so Sean has the list that he'll share with you on some nice presentations that was presented.
Yep. Timeout now over. Emily Prue and Isabelle Ladousseau having a good look. They're going to try to break up that pile in front of the house. Try to open things up as they try to, well, goal one at this point, keep Ontario from scoring. Goal two, I think, will be to score a deuce yourself, but need to get into the scoring zone first. This is Emily Prue's first stone. Big wait signaled by Callahan. Harnish off and on with the sweeping. Callahan on now. And they will get quite a bit out of the front of the house, rather. Won't remove it from play completely.
Her rock went out of play, but the Ontario stone stayed in, but at least it spread them out a bit.
It did spread them out. That may prove dangerous later on, but right now it fills the goal of freeing up the front of the house, trying to get at those shot stones in and around the forefoot.
And it's amazing where if you make one bad shot, it's like golf. You have to make two good shots to make up for that one bad one.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing in curling. You see, there was a miss where one of the rocks went through the house, and you go, okay, slight miss. But then all of a sudden, chaos has ensued here a bit, and I mean that was good. Moved them around, but now it sees what Ontario can do to really clog it up and make it tough for Nova Scotia.
Ontario playing the higher weight, and even the sweepers are indicating it's heavy. They're trying to get the Nova Scotia stone out of that area, try to bring other rocks into play.
Yeah, take one of their own out. And sometimes you need help from the other team.
Yeah. A small miss. The net result, though, is still Nova Scotia sitting 2. Ontario still has the one center guard in front of the house. Sorry, who did I say?
You're Ontario. Ontario's the yellow.
Ontario is sitting 2. Oh, good.
It's all right, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to St. Andrews New Rank. Sean Thompson. Okay, well, I'll get some more coffee in him, folks. He'll be all right.
Tea.
Right. Tea? You're a tea guy. A teetotaler. Welcome to the Maritimes. Yes, the tea.
Oh, no. Looking at the overhead, it is close. Who is first shot between Nova Scotia? Nova Scotia seems to think they are shot stone.
Are you photoshopping these things now?
No.
Do you have that power? Here's the shot.
Big hit for Emily Prue. Sweepers coming right off. Punch it through the hole.
And she rolls out. But now it's clearing up a slight bit.
Yep. Still very close between Nova Scotia and Ontario for shot stone. Nova Scotia thinks their shot. I tend to agree. And by the way Ontario is studying that red rock, they seem to agree as well.
You're looking back.
Yep, their front end is just in and around the hack.
And we were talking about that visualization earlier where you have teams like you can see, like when you're down at the house, it's really easy. So, oh, yeah, that's an easy shot. Then you get halfway down and they try to visualize it. But when you get in the hack, all of a sudden, that big half rock that was sitting out there, all of a sudden doesn't look that big anymore.
No.
From the hack. So she wanted to get a good look before she throws her first rock here in this end.
And everybody had a good look, either up close or from the hack. Madeline Warner just cleaning her stone. This is going to be a quieter weight hit on the Nova Scotia red in the house. First skip stone for Ontario, without the hammer, playing 5. Hard sweep by Shannon Warner and Brianne Dunnigan. Need to keep the line past the guards.
Oh, she rubbed on it.
Just that little rub. Took some of the speed off it, but not all of it. Nova Scotia still sitting shot stone.
And as Steve Thompson would say, we got a catcher back there. It is baseball season, folks. And those, speaking of baseball, Blue Jays are doing really well. Kudos to the Blue Jays.
You don't really have an idea how any team is doing until you get to the end of April, I think.
Well, I know how the Blue Jays were doing this time last year in April, and it was really bad. Put it this way, they never made it to 500 last year. They never made it to 500. So 4 games into the season this year, they were at 500 because they split with the Yankees.
This seems as good a time as any to emphasize that other baseball teams are available. Isabelle Ladouceur coming back, looking for the draw, trying to split the house a bit.
I'm noticing some of the Nova Scotia supporters. I was a little concerned at first that this guy walked in with a sou'wester on, and his nose I thought it was like, gee, was it black and blue or something? But it was blue. They painted their noses blue.
Oh yeah,
because they're blue nosers, right?
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Excellent job, well done.
Absolutely, a real show of provincial pride. You've seen Saskatchewan supporters with green hair extensions. I see a few Saskatchewan supporters up in the stands wearing flags as capes. Seen Albertans in their cowboy hats. This sneaks by the guard and will come to rest a bit short. No rub on that.
No. Well, the Saskatchewan, I was talking to the folks, of course, Rider Pride, you know, the Rough Riders. And and like you said, they got the hair green and Rider Pride and green, and great. It's great to see all the provinces supporting their teams and coming out.
You bring up the Rough Riders, makes me a little surprised I haven't seen someone wearing a watermelon on their head. That said, I have seen a few pairs of moose antlers for Northern Ontario.
I've seen the mooses loose here.
This appears to be a draw.
Last shot.
Last shot for Ontario. Madeline Warner. Nova Scotia still with the hammer. But Madeline Warner trying to make life difficult, and it is heavy from the get-go and a bit inside. Hard sweeping. Hard sweeping, girls. Gotta keep the line for the hit. Gotta keep the line. Oh, was there ever any doubt?
Great, she gets the roll.
Count them in the rings. I think there are 3 Ontario yellows counting right now. This could be a huge steal. But not if Isabelle Ladouceur and Team Nova Scotia have anything to say. Strong discussion. They're thinking of coming down that well-worn path on the left side of the sheet.
A lot of rock's been thrown down that path today, Sean.
They're playing the hit, and my mistake, looking at another angle, I think it could be. Wow. We don't quite see where that Nova Scotia stone is top of the rings. It is definitely 2, probably 3 or 4, possibly as much as 5. That is what Isabelle Ladouceur is facing with the final rock in end number 5. They're trying to hit the shot stone. Hard sweep from Callahan.
Keep the line.
Hard sweep. They're by the guards. They have the hit and the stick.
Oh, beautiful shot. Big shot.
A clutch shot from Isabelle Ladouceur to save the single point, but more importantly, keep Ontario from a big steal.
because Ontario, they played a good end. There was a couple of mistakes in that end by the Nova Scotia girls, missing some opportunity shots that was needed, and Ontario took full advantage of it, and they forced a big shot out of Nova Scotia to hit and stay for the single.
Absolutely, but that's why they call it last rock advantage. The last word on the scoring in the end. And Nova Scotia moves into a 5-3 lead in this girls' semifinal at the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships, live from St. Andrews on Bell Line TV1. Instead of our usual Around the Horn at this time, just want to mention, and Keith mentioned this a little earlier, we had a little ceremony before the semifinal draw to honor the winners of the Fair Play Awards. The Fair Play Awards were voted on by the umpires, given to the leading skip, third, seconds, leads, and coaches who best exemplify the principles of sportsmanship and fair play. They all received ashen brooms and small tokens of their honor. The women's fair play winners were lead Piper Crozier from Northern Ontario, second Chantel Hogue of Saskatchewan, third Carly Smith of the host team from New Brunswick, and skip Anne-Catherine Perron from Quebec, along with coach Bruce Cox of Ontario. And on the men's side, the winners lead Colin McKenzie of Prince Edward Island, second Gabrielle Dick of Alberta, third Adam Tracy of Team New Brunswick, and skip Ryan McNeil Lambswood from Newfoundland and Labrador, along with the coach Brian Mickey from British Columbia. All received ashen brooms, and we congratulate them and thank them for exemplifying the high ideals of fair play that revolves through all these championships. Ontario again putting up a guard on the 4-foot line. Nova Scotia content to come into the house up 2. 5-3 the score. We're in the 6th end here. And this second stone here, Michaela Harnish, just coming to the back of the 8-foot. It'll give a little backing to Team Ontario if they want to use it. It's right in line with their corner guard.
And on the girls' side, it is 3-3, Saskatchewan and Alberta. 3-3 at the end of, can you see that?
At the end of 6 ends, Saskatchewan with the single point in 6.
I got to start bringing my binoculars to these events, I guess.
Well, the other thing I've noticed, they go out to the far end for the odd-numbered ends. They come back to our end for the even.
You're an amazing man. You're amazing. How long were you going to hold that nugget for me?
Ontario guard just slid into the house. Not that it matters with the expiration of the free guard zone rule after 3 rocks. Nova Scotia content to start getting rid of some some Ontario stones rather. That peel, the shooter stays around, rolling to the opposite corner. We have seen Nova Scotia, if there has been a weakness to their game today, it has been the peels. The problems peeling off stones in the 4th end led to a big deuce for Ontario. And the folks from the Trillium province perhaps hoping that history repeats.
For you Nova Scotia fans, it's 3-2 Nova Scotia over Newfoundland. in boys play. 3-2 Nova Scotia over Newfoundland and 5-2 Alberta over Northern Ontario. And that is in boys semifinal play.
Nova Scotia looking, Ladouceur motioning for a double takeout. I think even just a hit and roll over would be fine. Kate Callahan with the shot, and a hard sweep all the way.
You got to have plan A and plan B. Sometimes plan B happens about 30 feet down the sheet. There's a
They'll
hit,
get the
there's a
hit
roll.
and the roll over the top. A game effort. I think it is Nova Scotia sitting shot stone.
Just a matter of inches, isn't it? It's just such a fine line there.
Oh, it always is. There was a commercial a few years ago with Jennifer Jones on the curling rink. She said, "They say football is a game of inches. I wish we had inches."
We got a timeout on the sheet. Ontario is calling a timeout.
Ontario's first team timeout, and as we mentioned, the Fair Play Award winner on the girls' side, Bruce Cox, coaching Ontario. As Madeline Warner Forsum from the Liz Toll Curling Club. As I mentioned earlier, about 55 kilometers northwest of Kitchener, if you're looking at a map.
So 6 o'clock tonight, all these teams will be back in action again. It just will be determined here in the next 40 minutes or so what color they will be playing for. But all these teams will be back. We will be broadcasting from our sheet the boys gold medal game. Right next to it will be the girls, and we're going to do the best we can, obviously, to bring you both and keep you updated on those games for sure, as well as what's happening in the bronze medal. So that will be at 6 o'clock this evening. We hope you can tune back in, and then immediately following that will be the closing ceremonies and the medal presentations.
Absolutely, and we'll have full coverage of that as the evening progresses. Right now, though, they break from the timeout. Madeline Warner in the house as her teammates make their way down to the far end of the ice. Just looking to tuck another one behind those corner guards. Well, corner guard and Ontario Stone in the 8-foot on the left-hand side. Brianne Dunnigan. Sweepers off and on. They're by the corner guard. Even if they get nose on their own just to nurdle it up, that's fine. Now I think it is Ontario sitting one.
So Sean, we're going to have a special guest in the booth tonight in the gold medal game. We'll have Helen Radford from Curling Canada to come in and say a few words on the tournament and the event, and talk about the great volunteer and the committee that Sue Lister had put together, and the Tim Sharkey. I got to give Tim a holler out. He's the arena manager here, and if you need anything, you talk to Tim, because if he doesn't know, he'll know who does know. And Tim has been wearing many hats. Tim was involved in the Ford World Curling Championships when they were in St. John on the men's side. Absolutely. So he's no stranger to curling events. But Tim and his staff here at the W.C. O'Neill Arena has done a great job. Kudos to him and his staff.
Nova Scotia with the hit and roll out there. Sarah Bailey in the hack now. First Ontario Yellowstone. It is Ontario with the hammer in this end. Sweepers backing right off. Stone looks like it's coming in deep behind those guards. Maybe get a little bump.
Little deja vu.
Little deja vu, but that
Yeah,
doesn't work entirely to Ontario's advantage. The shooter rolls into the open. Ontario sitting 1, but wide open on the 8-foot. And Nova Scotia clearly second shot. Nova Scotia with the red stones. Second shot now for Emily Prue. Good hard sweep. Nose hit. Good enough to sit 2, but again, it's out in the open.
And Ontario does have the hammer this end.
Ontario does have the hammer. There's the possibility, probably not with this turn, but there is the possibility for a double. And there is that Nova Scotia corner guard to reckon with. Way up top of the in-play area. Second shot from Sarah Bailey. Again, sweepers on and off. Now they're on hard, trying to keep the line, get a little roll. And I think that may have just done a little curl at the end to sit Ontario shot stone.
I mean, in Ontario, the strategy department, you have what you want here. You have hammer in the 6th. If you lose it in the 7th, then you'll have hammer coming home in the 8th.
Absolutely.
If it stays that way. That's what the book says.
Yep. Huh. If you're down 2, the goal would be to get a pair here if you're Ontario. Tie things up.
Hold them to 1.
Hold them to 1 and then get another pair in the 8th end to win.
Okay. Let's go and do it now, right?
Yeah, they'll get the hit and roll away. But I think that was the plan, because if you nose that one, you're running straight back into your own. Good shot from Ladouceur there, her first. Now some discussion between Madeline Warner and Sarah Bailey. Nova Scotia is sitting that one in the back of the rings. And Madeline Warner decided she wants to make a play for it.
I can't believe today's the last day. Has it gone too fast? Probably for the organizers, no. I was talking to some of the ladies that were helping out at the front door and tickets and whatnot. They were getting pretty tired.
I believe it.
Long days for sure, but enjoyable days, and plus with the weather not being the greatest.
True.
It probably was sort of got everyone out of the house and a little activity going here, so it was probably a good thing.
First skip stone for Madeline Warner. Now Shannon Warner, Brianne Dunnigan on it and off. They'll get the hit, and just a touchy roll into the back of the 8-foot. Ladouceur calling for the hit. Really, I think the hit is the sure thing shot.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether you roll out or not.
You got to get that one out to limit the damage to 2.
Exactly. If you're feeling really gutsy or really foolish, you could try to draw behind that corner guard. But again, you'd pretty much just be cutting the arrears at this point. Final Nova Scotia stone in 6. Easy does it with a hit.
And does it stick around?
No. Which
So
will leave
an easy draw for 2. And if she could stuck around, obviously that just made that little more tighter to make that, or she could have hit and stayed, but then lots of times you hit, and what happened there? Hit and roll out.
You probably needed a nibble of the 8-foot to make it worthwhile, though.
Yeah.
And a big crowd going up A big score on sheet E. You hear the Nova Scotian fans stomping and ringing their bells. We'll tell you what the score was there after we look at this final rock on sheet C. Isabelle Ladouceur looking on as Madeline Warner delivers the final stone in 6. Just need a piece of the house to get 2, girls. Sweeping to make sure. Oh, didn't pull the string, did she? No, the sweepers are right off. This is going to settle in quite nicely indeed. Right? Well, not quite on the button, but settles in the back in the 4. Good enough.
Well, that gives her a chance to get her weight, her draw weight. A little feel there. It was a nice little practice if she has to use it later on. Another
2 for Ontario. And all of a sudden, we got a tie ball game, 5-5. Nova Scotia and Ontario in a girls' semifinal through 6 ends at the Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships. You're watching them live from St. Andrews, New Brunswick on Bell Line TV 1. We take you around the horn. Best place to start seems to be on sheet E, the other boys semifinal. I mentioned a big noise coming up from the Nova Scotia fans earlier. That's because Graham Weigel and his team from the Chester Curling Club, Team Nova Scotia on the boys' side, got a steal of 2. They're up now to a 5-2 lead on Newfoundland and Labrador. The other boys semifinal, a blank end between Northern Ontario and Alberta. Alberta still holding a 5-2 lead as they play the 7th end. And in the second girls semifinal, another 2 points for Alberta in the 7th end. They're coming home with a 5-3 lead against Saskatchewan. We'll let you know when they complete that 8th end, playing a very quick game indeed. Back in our feature game, Nova Scotia and Ontario tied at 5. While they are playing a little slower than the other girls' semifinal time, not really concerned. Both teams still with more than 7 minutes left and the better part of 2 ends to play. The first Nova Scotia stone here. Michaela Harnish will just get it behind the Ontario guard, sit on top of the 4-foot. Nova Scotia throwing the red stones, does have the hammer in the 7th end. And they'll want to either put a couple of points on the board at least, or blank and take the hammer coming home. Ontario with the raised takeout.
Yep, nice shot.
Hits it, but they lose the raised stone. Schroeder stays as a guard up front. Ladouceur for Team Nova Scotia, calling another draw.
So yeah, that's a strategy, Sean, is keeping New Brunswick to 1 here. Nova Scotia to 1. So Ontario will have the hammer and getting to. We'll see. Strategy can become tragedy rather quickly sometimes.
The sweepers haven't been touching this. It's there on all on its own, they say. And indeed it is.
Yeah.
Needs to curl. And it will settle right on the button. On the one hand, it's mostly guarded. On the other hand, if you get down to the button, say with a heavy draw, you can move that Nova Scotia stone off the button and maybe, just maybe, sit shot yourself.
Then it'd be hard to move you.
Indeed. First stone of the end for Brianne Dunnigan. Second of this Ontario team from the Listowel Curling Club. Zone 14 of the Ontario Curling Association. Curl on, they're calling themselves now.
Nice shot.
And that's exactly what I said, that heavy draw. It is very hard to tell right now who has shot stone. And I have the feeling with this rock, Team Nova Scotia trying to make that question much more difficult to answer. Kate Callahan in the hack. Our first rock of the end. A good sweeping being delivered by Amelie Prue, Michaela Harnish. Nova Scotia still sitting shot stone. We just got the overhead. This will sit on top of the pile, just nudges the Ontario stone over.
It's wide open though.
Not only that, there's a chance for what they call a slash double. Hit just outside the nose, you may be able to kill both Nova Scotia stones and keep your shooter around the house. Ontario, Brianne Dunnigan. Tasked with moving some granite at the far end of the sheet. They will get 1, 2. They'll roll off the forefoot. It's not a double takeout, but it is Ontario now sitting 1.
Yeah, it was a nice shot though. Very nice. She did what she needed to do.
That Ontario stone is behind cover. You see Isabelle Ladouceur motioning for the draw. I would not be surprised if this is another one of the heavy draws. No? It's a gentle draw, but needs a heavy sweep.
Judy Blanchard always said, and Judy, a former world senior champion, she goes, I always like to get my sweepers involved because they can make the rock go further. But if they're not sweeping, they can't do a thing to slow it down.
They need to drag it as far as they can here, need to get a sniff of the button. And they may just have it. It is very close indeed.
Yeah, when we had some curling events in St. John and stuff, Judy was good enough to come up, sit in the booth, and just a wealth of knowledge and all the.
Absolutely.
Well, you know her well. She's out of your club there, and but I always remember Judy saying it. She goes, Keith, I always had my sweepers involved in every stone I threw.
Important to know, but also important to realize that sweepers aren't miracle workers.
No.
They can drag a rock,
make it go up
about 10 feet or so, straighten it up a bit, but they can't take a hogged rock into the rings.
There's a shot.
And they'll just chip off the back Nova Scotia stone. I'm still not entirely sure who is sitting shot stone, as Emily Prue stands in the hack getting ready to deliver her first stone. Nova Scotia and Ontario tied at 5. Time still not really an issue yet, particularly for Nova Scotia. They have 6:16 of thinking time remaining, as well as a timeout. Some gentle brushing here. Try to get a corner rub. They do, and rolls out. And I still can't tell who shot stone. We'll find out when we get the overhead view.
That's the mystery. That's what makes it exciting.
From a spectator's point of view.
Okay, I know you need your tea. Okay, we'll get your tea after this game, okay?
Ontario doing some thinking. They're going for the hit on the Nova Scotia stone regardless. This could just be damage limitation. This could be because, no, even from the overhead, Ontario might be shot, but it is very close indeed. A big weight shot here from Sarah Bailey, Team Ontario.
Sweepers around
trying
now,
to guide it in.
It's moving now. They get it. Nice shot.
Roll into the open, but for now, Ontario's sitting 2. Nova Scotia with the hammer, though. And that is very important indeed.
Well, and it's shaping out for Ontario doing what they needed to do here, if at the very worst, giving up a point. But they're putting the pressure on Nova Scotia here.
Emily Prew's second rock. Trying to get the hit and roll behind cover. Michaela Harnish sweeping it all the way. Nose hit. Ontario still sitting 1, and the Nova Scotia stone is wide open again. Some thinking they're going to go with the hit at this point. Hit and hopefully roll over behind cover as Madeline Warner comes back for her second stone. Her first stone, rather. First skip stone. Event number 7. A hush falling over the building right now. The tension palpable. Broken by action on other sheets. Soon to be broken by action here on sheet 3. A hard sweep from Shannon and Brienne. They want to get an inside roll. They'll get an outside roll. Right out the rings, right out of play. Ontario sitting the 1 with the hammer.
It's an advantage to Nova Scotia there, but that rock didn't stick around.
It is an advantage to Nova Scotia, but they aren't entirely out of the woods yet.
No.
The Ontario shot stone is protected, and they're going to take a timeout. Bring their coach, Brian Raffus, out to talk about it.
And we go over to sheet E as the last shot for Newfoundland. Looking at 2 Nova Scotia stones in the boys' play.
And they are going to hit one
rolling.
and roll too far.
And it looks like a potential steal of 1 for Nova Scotia, but we'll get a clarification on that because we're just trying to stick our heads around the corner there.
Yep.
To see
Steal of 1 would make it Nova Scotia 6, Newfoundland Labrador 2. Coming home to play the 8th end, Newfoundland with the hammer down 4.
That would make it tough. They might just run out of rocks.
Very tough indeed. And in the other boys semifinal, it was a blank 7th end between Northern Ontario and Alberta. Northern Ontario will retain the hammer down 4-3. And the Horgan Rink, the defending champions from Curl Sudbury, looking to stay alive in this championship as they are on the quest to add a second gold medal to their collection. Steal of 1 for Nova Scotia on sheet E. Trying to prevent a steal, or trying to, yes, prevent a steal here. Isabelle Ladouceur's first rock. They decided to try to play the run back, and they get them both. Beautiful shot by Isabelle Ladouceur. The blank end is back in play.
Wow, what a shot. And we're coming up the last shot here in Saskatchewan, Alberta. Saskatchewan's down 2. They need to draw in to tie it up.
And they will. They'll be going to an extra end on sheet B. Saskatchewan's 2 ties the game at 5. through 8 ends. 9th end will come up after a short break on that sheet. In our feature sheet, Madeline Warner trying the
little
cold
heavy,
draw.
little heavy.
Ladouceur trying to sweep it out.
Oh.
Not a problem.
And now, look at what has happened here in the last minute and a half.
We have Nova Scotia now with the shot so easy you could make it, Keith.
Yes.
Throw it through the house.
These are one of my better shots. I pretty well got this one down. I couldn't have done it without my outstanding coach, Steve Thompson, though. he was the one that really perfected this shot here.
Final stone of 7 goes straight through the house. Nova Scotia takes the hammer into the 8th end, the final end of regulation. A 5-5 tie in this girls' semifinal between Nova Scotia and Ontario. This is the Under-18 Canadian Curling Championships, live from St. Andrews on Bellline TV1, and we have a final score. Alberta with a 5-2 victory over Northern Ontario. Wow. I misspoke when it was a 3-2 game earlier. I forgot that Alberta stole a pair in the 5th. And then they just ran the defending champions out of rocks. We will see the Alberta rink. Ryan Jacques from the Saville Community Sports Center in Edmonton in the boys' gold medal game. Jacob Horgan's rink out of Curl Sudbury will be trying to win bronze for Northern Ontario.
And that's sort of a hard thing you got to regroup after, having an emotional one. You want to go with that gold medal. You want to defend. Ontario won it last year, Northern Ontario, and now you sort of got to regroup. Said, listen, the speech has got to be, we're coming away with something.
Absolutely.
Because it sucks to come fourth. Okay, folks? It just does. There's no medal. There's no nothing. Fourth, a handshake. So, but there's the mental aspect of the game that's going to come into play in these bronze medal games.
First stone for Nova Scotia, just trying to get behind the center Ontario guard. Both skips trying to sweep it a bit deeper. They get it to the back of the 8-foot. Without the hammer, Madeline Warner knows her team needs to build a point. Ontario, if they're going to win, have to steal.
And they're looking for a mistake, right?
They're looking for a mistake, but they know with enough rocks in play, they can perhaps force a mistake.
Yeah, that's right. Force them into trying to make good shots.
Force them into making low percentage shots. And another center guard. Ontario using the free guard zone to its fullest extent. Nova Scotia trying to put another stone in the house. Second stone from Michaela Harnish.
And that was a steal of 1 for you Nova Scotia fans. The boys did steal 1 against Newfoundland, so they are up 6-2.
And rapidly running the Newfoundlanders out of stones.
So my prediction, if you just tuned in, folks, I was predicting that an Atlantic Canada team will be in the boys' gold medal. And Sean didn't want to take me up in that wager. I don't know why. Then he came back he said, well, I think there's going to be a girls team from out west in the girls side.
Nova Scotia stone just sliding through the house. No great loss for Nova Scotia. And we are keeping our eye on the extra end between Saskatchewan and Alberta, the other girls semifinal on sheet B. First stone from Brianne Dunnigan. Team Ontario. Looking to set up a third guard because they know Nova Scotia is going to start appealing. They'll get this full 12-foot.
Well, good sweeping there on the Ontario girls.
Sarah Bailey and Shannon Warner on the brooms. And yes, Shannon and Madeline Warner are sisters. And as predicted, broom goes down to start peeling off the guards. Double peel there. The shooter stays, but they get rid of 2 Ontario guards. The shooter stays higher than either of the Ontario guards, so a good shot, a very appealing shot, one might say, by Team Nova Scotia. Hardy har har.
Oh, there's that dry sense of humor of yours.
I would like to remind the viewers at home that the only bad pun is the one you didn't think of.
He's on a roll. He's awake now, folks. This morning was a little rough going, but Sean is back.
Ontario just trying to guide this Dunnigan stone in.
And they've run out of rocks on the sheet E. Nova Scotia prevails 6-2.
The Nova Scotia boys rink Graham Weagle from the Chester Curling Club have played their way into the gold medal game against Alberta. As we mentioned earlier, that game will be at 6 p.m. Atlantic time, 3 p.m. Mountain. And we'll have as full coverage as we can of that game, splitting time, of course, with the girls' final. The boys' bronze final, that'll be the Newfoundland rink of Ryan McNeil, Lambswood from the Remax Center and St. John's Curling Club, going up against Northern Ontario, Jacob Horgan and his foursome from Curl Sudbury. Coming up on Mate Stones now, Sarah Bailey in the hack for Team Ontario. Nova Scotia still sitting, but they are trying to make a play behind their own guards. I'm sorry, make a play to set up a guard. Which they will, just opposite side of the center line. There is a touch of overlap there. And again, the peelers coming out.
Nova Scotia wants to keep that front of that house as clean as possible.
They are sitting shot stone. They will have...
Last row.
Yep, they will get...
They get 2 of them.
Do they have the double
Yep.
peel? Yes,
Yep.
they do.
Wow. Wow. Big shot there. Big shot.
We observed for the first half of the game this Nova Scotia team was struggling a bit with peels. That was a beauty. Ontario will try to replace. I was mentioning Nova Scotia will have a shot to win, regardless of how difficult it is. They will have the last shot in this tie game. Ontario trying another guard with Sarah Bailey's last. This will come smack dab on the center line. And another peel in the offing for Team Nova Scotia. Emily Prue in the hack. Good hard sweep by Kate Callahan.
Good job.
Kayla Harnish catches the roller. It's getting down to crunch time for Ontario, folks. This may be the last guard they're able to play. 3 rocks remaining. Sorry, 2 rocks remaining. This absolutely is the last guard they're able to play.
What great semis on the girls' side. Both games 5-5. Like, wow. You can't, not a lot separating. Saskatchewan, Alberta's into extra ends. We're in the 8th end, tied up at 5 with Nova Scotia having the hammer.
Good sweep from Dunnigan and Shannon Warner. Trying to keep the line, maybe get a lick of paint. I'll set second shot, just nibbling at the 8-foot. Those stones are beside each other, though. It is a great temptation for Nova Scotia to try to blast them both.
Well, there's a pocket there. If you hit, one will go right, one will go left, and it won't bother your the shot stone for Nova Scotia from this angle.
Isabelle Ladosseur's first stone in the 8th end. Make the yellow handles go away, she says. Here it comes. Michaela Harnish, Kate Callahan with the brooms. Harnish is sweeping hard here. Sweeping to keep the line. Don't want to jam.
There she goes.
You won't jam.
Got it, and she sticks around. Big shot. She has come up with some big shots this afternoon for the Nova Scotia girls.
And now a must-make shot, and they're going to take a little time to talk it over, calm themselves down. Madeline Warner calling timeout as she was heading down the ice.
And I gotta love the coach. The coach is just as calm as a cucumber. Come on in, girls. It's okay. Let's talk about this now.
Bruce Cox, coach of Team Ontario.
Smiles.
It's the final timeout of regulation. Not that it matters. This is going to be the final Ontario stone of regulation play. And the odds are exceedingly long on an extra end.
Yeah, this is it.
They know the shot. It's going to be a draw toward the 4-foot, toward the button. They do have that little backing if they're heavy. They want to try to get this, I think, as close to that Nova Scotia stone on the back of the 8-foot as possible. They certainly want it in line.
Well, we can, folks. We just a big shout out. Thank you, folks, for tuning in to listening to our broadcast this afternoon. We're extremely happy to bring it to you, and we hope you're enjoying it wherever you're at, whether it be in Ontario or Nova Scotia or maybe down somewhere warmer.
Final stone for Team Ontario. Sweepers have gone away. Ladoseur coming up.
It's a little heavy.
Looking
it's heavy.
to sweep it. It is too heavy.
It's over. Nova Scotia going for the gold.
2 for Nova Scotia without even needing to throw a final score. Make the final Nova Scotia 7, Ontario 5. And it will be the Nova Scotia foursome of Isabelle Ladosseure, Emily Prue, Kate Callahan, Michaela Harnish, their alternate Elenos, and Coach Brian Refuse going for gold. And a very interesting situation developing in the other girls' semifinal. We're going to see if we can get pictures of that other semifinal. We won't have an overview view. We won't have an overhead view, rather. We don't have the cameras positioned over the rings on sheet B.
But this is extra ends.
This is extra ends.
And it's the first skip stones.
First skip stone for Saskatchewan in this extra end. Saskatchewan skip Skylar Ackerman from the Moose Jaw Ford Curling Club in Moose Jaw. She is throwing the red stones, and it looks to me, behind all that granite up front, that it is Saskatchewan sitting shot stone. And Ackerman plugs the hole on the left-hand side of the sheet. And Alberta will call a little tumble by one of the Saskatchewan players as Alberta takes their timeout in the extra end. Each team is allowed one timeout in the extra end. Saskatchewan, I noticed, used theirs earlier in the end. So this is the final timeout of the game.
So we got both Nova Scotia teams, boys and girls, are going to be in the gold medal. The boys defeated Newfoundland 6-2. Alberta knocked off the defending Northern Ontario champs 5-2. And the girls here, just on our marquee game, defeated Ontario in an exciting affair 7-5. And the question is now, who will they be playing for the gold? Will it be Saskatchewan or Alberta? And in the next few minutes, we're going to find out, because there's only 3 stones left.
The game reset on sheet B. Alberta and Saskatchewan tied at 5. A very close fought game the whole way through. Saskatchewan able to get their deuce with a draw in the 8th end to force this extra end. Saskatchewan, playing the Redstones, has a minute 25 left on their time clock from the 4.5 minutes of thinking time they started the extra end with. They have 1 shot remaining and no timeouts. Alberta has their timeout just expiring. They have 2 minutes, 25 seconds and counting thinking time to deliver 2 stones. And again, Alberta with the yellow handles have the hammer as their skip, Kylie Backer from the Calgary Curling Club, comes into position for what I think is going to be a raise or 2. Saskatchewan is sitting the game right now, and a spot in the gold medal game this evening.
Alberta has the hammer. This is her first. Another lefty, Sean.
Yep,
Another
first
lefty.
stone, a big weight shot from Alberta coming down the pike. Good sweep. They will clear out the front a little bit, but they don't make an impact on the stones in the house. Saskatchewan is still sitting the game, but high fives all around as suddenly there's a bit less trash in orbit around the house. Saskatchewan, Skylar Ackerman trying to replace some of that garbage. With her final stone in the extra end, Saskatchewan sitting the 1 they need to win.
And just to remind the folks at home, the gold medal games will be getting underway at 6 p.m. Atlantic time, at 6 p.m., and as well as the bronze medal games will be played at the same time. So we will definitely keep you informed on what's going on in the other sheets as we broadcast the gold medal boys game and try as well with the girls side too, as they're side by side.
Absolutely. Skylar Ackerman, sweepers coming right off here. Not looking to get into the house, just sit as some garbage in front. And that they will do. The train whistles start blowing. The clock starts for Alberta. Really, it doesn't matter at this point.
1 shot left.
1 shot, and you have to move that Saskatchewan stone off the button out of the scoring area. And it is a very difficult shot they have. It looks like it's going to be an angle raise takeout, the call. Riley Backer coming back. Nothing but steely nerve. Hannah Phillips, the maid, is holding the broom. Riley Quinn, Hannah Airy, ready to take up the sweeping as required. A hush falls over the W.C. O'Neill Arena. Final stone in the extra end for Team Alberta.
They like to join the boys in the gold medal game.
A big weight shot. We got one sweeper on. One sweeper on hard and off. Do they have the angle? No.
No.
And Saskatchewan are going to the gold medal game on the girls' side. Final score, Saskatchewan 6, Alberta 5 in 9 ends. So we have our draw completed for tonight. On the girls' side, the bronze medal game will be between Alberta and Ontario. The gold medal game, Saskatchewan versus Nova Scotia. And on the boys' side, the bronze medal game, Newfoundland and Labrador versus Northern Ontario. And Nova Scotia versus Alberta for the gold. Game time, 6 p.m. Atlantic, 5 Eastern, 4 Central, 3 Mountain. We hope you can join us then. Until then, for Keith Rains, I'm Sean Thompson. For our entire crew at Bellaline TV1, thank you from St. Andrews. Thanks for watching the 2018 Canadian Under-18 Curling Championships. We'll talk to you in a bit.